Presentations, refining the interior rendering. So picking up where we left off, 2211. So open up building complete. Okay, let's do a save as. We're going to call that 2212. Begin. Okay, and then a save as 2212 complete. Okay, let's update our notes. So we were refining the exterior rendering, and now we're going to do a little bit of refining with the interior. Okay, so let's just go to our phase one 3D views, and we want to go to the kitchen proposed. Okay, so what's wrong with this? Well, when we rendered it last time, and if you were to render it right now, it's a little dark. We couldn't see, there wasn't any trees beyond. So we're going to fix a bunch of those things right now. So number one thing, let's change our clipping plane. So far clip active, let's just turn that off and say apply. Now we can see beyond, there's trees. We'll be able to see there's a little house there that's beyond, and that'll give us a little bit better just distance in our view. Okay, so let's turn on our light bulb, and I just want to make sure that these lights are visible and on. So unhide element. The other thing I want to do is just play with these materials a little bit. They seem to be too dark. So let's go to modify. Let's go to paint. And let's just do a search for paint. And there's the paint right there. So while this box is open, what we can do is we can pick on faces. See how they're turning a lot brighter? This trim one that we did almost like a white, maybe even a slightly off-white. So let's start with that. It's a good place to start. A ceiling and, that wall interior, that wall interior. And then let's just tab until we get to the roof. Okay, so we can just tab. Sometimes it can be a challenge getting that looks like that's it there. Good. All right, so we just painted all of that. And we painted it in a perspective mode, so that never used to be possible. So that's possible in 2011 now. You can also remove paint and it'll just put it back to its standard view. Any of these stacked walls, you don't need to worry about them because if it's the same material, it'll just render right through. Let's click on this Dad's Kitchen. It's actually in the instance properties under material. Let's just click on there. We're going to go with a different color here. So let's go with paint. And I think I did one called Paint 2. And it's like a green color. And then we can say okay to that. Okay, so that'll stand out. Okay, what about the countertops? So we can just click on those countertops, edit type. I could even duplicate that, just call it a 24-inch depth number 2. So go to paint, trim, okay. And I'm just tabbing through here, doing the same thing a few times. Again, I can just start typing and I'll get it, paint trim. Okay, and then this little piece here, duplicate, and we'll look for paint trim. Good. All right, let's set our phase. Let's just make sure it's phase 1, and then let's make sure it says show complete, and that'll get rid of any confusion in the graphics. All right, let's see what this looks like. So we're going to do a test rendering, so we'll click on render, and we'll do a medium screen, interior, sun and artificial, sure, and sky, few clouds. Okay, so that's finished. That's our test rendering. A couple of things I'm looking at that is it's a tiny bit too light. I'm going to click on adjust exposure and just restore to default, see if that helps a bit. It looks like outside is just way too bright. Let's just go into our sun settings and we're going to just adjust our time of day. So let's put this at 5 a.m. and let's do another test. Okay, so that's done again. So it's a little bit better. If we click on adjust exposure, I'm going to say return to default. A little bit better. It's very kind of weak looking. Plus, I think we're getting too much light coming out of those studio lights. So let's just close that. And I'm going to click on these studio lights and edit them. Right now, they're set to 200 watts. So let's put that down by half. Let's put it down to 100. Okay, and now let's do another rendering of that. But we're getting closer, that's for sure. Okay, so there's another one. Let's adjust the exposure of this. So we're going to make it just a little bit brighter. You got a little bit too much of a shadow happening there. Let's see if we can make our shadows just a touch lighter. And I like to make the midtones a little bit darker. Okay, so we've got a little bit too much light floating around here. So it's a bit subjective and it's sort of a tweaking process. I might even move that studio light more sort of right dead center and see if that works. But I think what we'll do is we'll go with this and we're going to render this at more of a high level of detail. Okay, so let's put this at high, tears on an artificial, and let's render that. Okay, so that's finished at a higher level of rendering. And we can just save that to the project. Kitchen proposed one, sure. Okay, and then we could tweak the exposure if we wanted to, maybe just a touch brighter. You can even just type it in. Midtones, again, if you do it a little bit darker, it'll give you a little bit more depth of the color. White point, we can make it a little cooler if we wanted to. Seems like our highlights are a little bit out of control. Now that's partially because there's like a glossy material on these uppers. That's something that we may want to change. So we can save that one as well. So we can press save. We can go to view, close it in Windows, and we can close that down.